So I just got off the phone with Dennis Goldstein, had a pretty long conversation. We're going back and forth for a little bit over the past couple of weeks. Um, Dennis is the guy who supplied photos for Ken Burns' baseball documentary. He's supplied photos for many significant baseball-related publications over the past uh, three, yeah, 3 decades. And we're having a very kind of in-depth conversation. And it gets to the point where I bring up Satchel Paige, right, as my primary historical figure of baseball. And the question I pose to him is baseball a myth or history? You can only pick one, and of course the answer is both. But my claim, right, and this has gotten deeper and deeper through my writing, as well as these videos that have been started here, is that baseball is actually the mythology of American civilization. And what's so particular about baseball being the mythology of American civilization is that it's a myth that's being formed in real time. It's being made alongside America's cultural identity itself as it's in primary formation through the process of modernity, right? And so you have, I'm going to bring in a little philosophy. I think he's actually on one of the posters back there. Nietzsche says right around 1880, bear in mind, right, he says this around 1880 in Germany, as the process of global industrialization is occurring. God is dead and we have killed him. And there's a very, it's a commonly said quote from him, but you don't really get the full significance of the symbolism of that quote until you understand what baseball as American mythology is and does. Because when you place baseball in that seat, in that position of the primary mythology of America, what you're doing is you're looking at, if you look through deep time and deep history, the wide scale and wide scope of civilizational myths, right? We could look at the Aztecs or the Maya or ancient China or where would we want to look? Look at Greece, right? Look at Rome. These are all civilizations that function with the underpinning of a sort of civilizational level mythology, whether that's Quetzalcoatl, whether that's, um, I mean, you name it, Pluto, whether that's Zeus. You have these mythological figures and forces that form the undergirding and underpinnings of the stories that any given civilization or culture is talking to itself about. It's telling itself a story of genesis, of morals, of quarrels, of struggles across space and time, of how the universe was formed, etc. So Dennis and I are talking a little bit about Kabbalah, the Jewish sacred text, the secret text of the Jewish tradition, and it inevitably leads into this synthesis that I'm understanding at a deeper level as time passes. Um, Philosophers like Plato understood the importance of wrestling in the Olympics alongside Greek theater in ancient Greek civilization, because what they did is they formed the underpinning of the everyday structure of the culture itself. What you're looking at with American civilization and American culture is that the myth of baseball functions primarily in a civilization that is brand new. It's hard to overstate how brand new American civilization is in its precepts, in its founding, in its ideas of egalitarianism and democracy. These are things that I've talked about in terms of the T3 lithographs, right? The T3 baseball cards, the Turkey Reds, um, as well as baseball cards themselves. The fundamental foundational underpinnings, although I mean obviously corrupt and dysfunctional when they were founded, particularly in regards to slavery, and that's something we bring up with the Negro Leagues, is that the primary function of the establishment of America was to create a truly egalitarian democratic society. And so you see those values and the struggle for the emergence of those values through the lens of baseball. And I approach that primarily through Deadball, and the Negro Leagues is one of the most important essential texts for me, especially the book I was talking with Dennis about this, Shades of Glory. That was one of the biggest books when I was younger, right around and before the time I started working at the Smithsonian. It was critical because what that book does so well, and Dennis's favorite book is Glory of Our Times by Lawrence Ritter. Apparently he actually knew Lawrence Ritter and they're good friends, is that they both function in the same way. They are a sociology of myth. And what I mean by that is that they do something similar to what Alan Lomax did in the South in the early 1900s. It's a tape recording put to paper of the oral mythology that is the underpinning. It's the stories, the tales, the legends, which directly coincide with the history of the sport itself. It's a way of creating a documentarian history of baseball that actually reveals the primary mythological function beneath it through storytelling. And this is the function of baseball. All of its artifacts, all of its materials, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays. This is the creation in real time through direct historical confrontation. It's America's identity is being assembled before our eyes in the history of baseball. This just can't be emphasized enough through photos, through books, through objects, through games, playing cards. It's a way of America's identity self-propagating, and it's something that's occurring primarily, unconsciously. Not even primarily unconsciously, but unconsciously. You look at, I was talking about this in the previous video, the tobacco and caramel cards of the early 1900s. This is the companies catch on that baseball is so incredibly popular, and it's so embedded at this point in the very fabric of American identity and American imagination, that these baseball cards that are designs, they're drawings, some of them crude, some of them majestic. From the E90-1s to the T3s. Some of them are true icons, right? The J.F. Kernan, Christy Mathewson I showed you. It's a votive presentation of these players who become larger than life. Christy Mathewson or Satchel Paige or Cy Young, you name it, right? In real time, baseball is the mythologization of American history.